the opportunities of a new one. Because yesterday is over. The future is inevitable. And our destiny together awaits.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio getting a standing ovation at the Munich Security Conference after laying out in the clearest terms how Trump will continue to break the global status quo.
We cannot continue to allow those who blatantly and openly threaten our citizens and endanger our global stability to shield themselves behind abstractions of international law which they themselves routinely violate. This is the path that President Trump and the United States has embarked upon. It is the path we ask you here in Europe to join us on. We do not want our allies to be shackled by guilt and shame. We want allies who are proud of their culture and of their heritage, who understand that we are heirs to the same great and noble civilization.
But not everyone loved his speech, like the Democrats, who had no reason to be there.
Marco Rubio's speech was a pure appeal to Western culture. My favorite part was when he said that American cowboys came from Spain.
I thought they came from Britain too, but
I believe the Mexicans and descendants of African enslaved peoples would like to have a word on that.
This is remarkable. Even though her last name is Cortez, she doesn't seem to know that the conquistador Hernan Cortez brought horses to the New World in 1519. And that, yes, the Spaniards introduced horses and birthed cowboy culture in Mexico and in America's Southwest. Boy, maybe she should crack open a history book before trying to lecture the Secretary of State. AOC wasn't the only Democrat in Germany, wasn't the only Democrat who was trashing the U.S. Watch this.
Ever in the history of the United States of America has there been a more destructive president than the current occupant in the White House?
None of us in this room, including all of us on this panel, would choose to live under a regime that was so unaccountable that it could act with impunity the way that Putin does, except that's who Trump is modeling himself.
Hillary didn't even try to hide how bad her TDS has gotten. Watch as the Czech Republic's deputy prime minister delicately tries to explain to her why her party is out of power today.
We saw the woke revolution. I don't agree with the gender revolution, the climate alarmism.
Gender, women having their rights?
Let Peter go on. I think there are two genders, so but some of us, I think there is male and female, and the rest probably is a social construct. So this is something that went too far.
But does that justify selling out the people of Ukraine who are on the front lines dying to save their freedom and their two genders? Okay. That's what you're worried about?
Can I please finish my point? Sorry that it makes you nervous.
Here with me is Patrick Bet-David. He's the founder of Valuetainment and the host of the PBD podcast. Patrick, let's just start by talking about this speech, Marco Rubio's speech. Some are calling it the speech. It's getting a lot of attention, and it's not just for the policy points and the style points, but many are saying that this has elevated him politically, that it's a moment. Give me your reaction. How do you assess him as a leader?
Well, Rachel, great to be on with you. We've always known Marco's been talented, always. We've always seen him on the big screen. We've always seen him as a guy that's capable when he's on stage, just delivering a message in a very unique, powerful way. Set that aside. Now he's got all the experience to add. I was at a soccer game yesterday with a father who's Venezuelan businessman. We always talk. He comes to me emotional. He's not a Republican. He says, this is one of the, if not the greatest political speech I've ever heard an American politician give. I thought it was on fire. I think he is right now the #1 draft pick for a presidential candidate for 2028. I know a lot of people are talking about JD. I know he's very talented. He's very capable. He's very smart. But when you're seeing people solving bigger problems, and that's how we are going to judge who's going to be the candidate for 2028, Marco keeps solving bigger problems more than anybody else on the administration.
Very interesting. Okay, so let's talk about the substance of this speech, because he's appealing to nationalism. He's appealing to Christianity, the history of Christianity in Europe. He's appealing to Western civilization. He's saying, stop being embarrassed of who you are. Be proud of who you are. Join us in this idea of embracing Western civilization. Do you think this will work with Europe? I mean, they did give him a standing ovation, but is it really sinking in deep here?
I think it does. Let me explain to you why. Because even that lady stopped Hillary Clinton. Can you imagine a woman in 2021 stopping Hillary Clinton to say, stop, let the Czech deputy prime minister speak? No one even knew who the guy was until he called out Hillary. And everyone all of a sudden said, I like this guy. So they've lost their sizzle. Newsom's not looking good right now. He's going to World Economic Forum complaining about America. Hillary Clinton's losing her sizzle. Barack Obama's doing a podcast talking about how bad homelessness is in California. And by the way, the most beautiful thing to look at right now is the following. There is nothing to compliment more than when a president, Donald J. Trump, is producing so many leaders that people are looking at saying, well, what's Besson doing? Besson is so impressive today, what he's doing. Look at Rubio, what he's got going on. There are so many guys that are coming up. That team, of course, there's fumbles that they have going on a couple different places. But it's so impressive to see what Besson, Rubio, and some of the others on the president's team are doing. It's a reflection of his leadership.
Yeah, well, you're busy.